Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. Happy New Year. I hope your holidays were wonderful, and we're looking forward to 2026, a new year, and hopefully a lot of promise and hope for all of us. And one of my favorite programs of the year, even though it marks every year, the years go faster and faster, is my show, my review of 2025 with Bob Clark, the morning host at 96.3 KKOB FM. We love looking back over the year and looking forward. But the only problem is the show comes too fast. Every year we have a new show, and it seems like it's only like 3 months in between when actually it's 12. But please stay with us as we talk to Bob Clark with 96.3 KKOB FM. I have my list of what to review. Do you have your list? Do you remember what happened in 2025? I mean, it went like that in a blink. Of course, we know the mayor's race. That was just around the corner. That was just recently. Crime, homelessness. I thought there were a number of bizarre murders here in New Mexico. Of course, positive news, the Lobo football team. I think they met 3 different top 10 teams, Michigan, UCLA, and of course the Minnesota Gophers. Special sessions, we had special sessions. I'm not sure how many we had. One in July, I think one in October. And of course we're having one in 2026. Governor's race coming around the corner, No Kings Rally. We are looking at, are we changing the state fair, my favorite place in New Mexico? Oh, and then I guess a soccer stadium at the Balloon Fiesta Park, another favorite place. Bob, that's the list I have. I know you have a talk show 5 days a week, and you have a long list, and you talk about local issues, state issues, 5 days a week.
I certainly do. I try to, because there are always national stories that have local impact. And as we've talked about, immigration certainly falls into that category. The drug problem and fentanyl and things like that. And the homelessness issue is impacting many cities around the country, but we have our own issues right here in Albuquerque. And my philosophy has always been, if you focus on what's happening here for everyone who's listening, it doesn't matter whether they're a Republican or an independent or a Democrat. They impact all of us in some form or fashion every single day. So that's why, and then plus, on the national shows, you're not going to get a whole lot of Albuquerque talk. So that's why I like to focus.
Well, sadly, we're getting a little bit of Albuquerque, right?
Well, every once in a while.
Nationally, we're hitting
every
the
once
news.
in a while, there always seems to be a story
geez.
that goes national that doesn't leave a good imprint.
How would you characterize, how many years have you been the host at KKOB?
20.
20 years.
Yeah, in the mornings. Yeah.
How would you characterize this past year compared to the 20? I mean,
I
know you have to be positive. I think it was one of my worst years, personally.
Well, I don't have to be positive. I mean, I have positive, negative.
You're realistic.
It just depends on the story.
But how would you characterize this year?
Well, this is the way I like to explain it to people. And you've worked in the news business for a long, long time. So we used to have what I would call sort of a slow news period. I don't know if it was in the summertime or at various points throughout the year. There would be a time where it just wasn't much going on. That's not the case anymore. There might be a slow news day, but there's not a slow news week, month, or summer anymore in Albuquerque. There's always something going on that impacts people. So from that perspective, I'm very busy. That's how I would describe 2025 as being a very busy year once again.
Very busy
and it just seems
year.
to keep getting busier.
Busy
all the time.
And partly also, I think, because we have so many elections and so many races that blend into each other. Maybe 20 years ago, you'd have a governor's race. Well, it would just be maybe 12 months. Now they're 24 months, right?
Yep.
By the time they announce to the time they run, it's at least 2 years. So maybe that has changed a little bit, the news cycle.
Yeah, I mean, 2025, what they call an off-year election. But we did have a mayor's race at the top of the ballot. So that really put a lot of significance on the city elections in Albuquerque in 2025. And you get through the holidays where it's 2026, and we're just 5 months away from a primary for governor and Congress and the Senate and the state legislature.
That's why the news continues, because you never get away from these elections. And again, this mayor's race was it was in November, but then we had a runoff between Darren White.
Yeah, there was a very crowded field in the first election in November, so everyone pretty much assumed there was going to be a runoff. It was most likely, obviously, Mayor Keller would at least get to a runoff, which he did, and then most people thought Darren White, because of having a lot of name recognition, would be his opponent, and sure enough, that's exactly the way it broke down. But in November, initially, 65% of the people who went to the polls to vote in the mayor's race they voted for someone other than Tim Keller. But from his perspective, it turned out to be irrelevant because he got to the runoff, and once it was one-on-one, he ended up winning in a landslide. And that it surprised, I think, a lot of election observers, not necessarily that the mayor won. I didn't really hear anybody who was predicting Darren would win, but they thought it would be a much closer race just because of all of the headwinds that Mayor Keller seemed to be facing when you're talking about homelessness, when you're talking about crime. Also from the perspective that it's unprecedented for a third consecutive term. You got to go back in the Wayback Machine there. Mayor Marty served 3 terms total, Martin Chavez, but when he tried to get a 4th term, which would have been his 3rd consecutive back in 2009, R.J. Berry ended up winning. So,
and the fact that 65% in November did not vote
well,
for
yes,
him.
no, exactly. So there was this
thinking-
feeling that there was Keller fatigue, but when it came right down to it, he ended up winning easily in a third term as Albuquerque mayor, which we've never seen before, a 3rd consecutive term.
So I know you've asked your guests, and I'm going to ask you, is that because these people don't mind the homeless problem we have? They don't mind the fact that our parks have needles? I ran in the Duke City Marathon 10K, and I meant to tell you the next Monday, ran down the city streets, and there are the parks, homeless people there.
Yeah.
I saw needles. I mean, we passed maybe 4 or 5 parks, and there were homeless people sleeping at 7 in the morning at all these parks. So these people who voted for Mayor Keller, they don't mind about these problems.
I mean, I don't know if you can generalize every single vote as falling into that category, but there were certainly, I mean, there certainly seems to be a significant portion of, look, Albuquerque in this election, it proved, you know, it was just 15 years ago that Susana Martinez, when running for governor, won Bernalillo County over Diane Denish. And Diane Denish lives here. And she beat her by 5,000 votes, a Republican beating a Democrat by 5,000 votes in Bernalillo County. That's never going to happen again.
Because we did some redistricting.
Well, no, it's just the city's just far more. It's bluer than ever before. And I think when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of tribalism in our politics today. It's like, I don't care what the problems are. I'm voting for the Democrat over the Republican. And then also, I think the independent voters didn't show up as much as Darren White was hoping that they would. And there certainly was no swing vote at all. So Democrats voted for the Democrat, Republicans voted for the Republican.
So are we going to see any change? I mean, he was in office 8 years. He's going to be in office 4 more years. Will we see any changes? What do you mean at least?
Well, because I mean, he can run. There's no term limits on Albuquerque mayor. And I know leading up to the election, I think as his way of dealing with Keller fatigue, said, well, don't worry, I'm not going to run for a 4th term. Well, as soon as the election happened, the very next day, his campaign manager started walking that back. And say, well, we're not closing the door. But that's still 4 years from now. So he used the word mandate on election night, and why not? He won easily. So that tells me he's just going to double down on what he's been doing.
I'm just wondering if we're still going to see the crime, still see the homeless problem, still see the needles in the parks.
Look, crime can ebb and flow a little bit, but when it comes to the homeless, I don't see any changes. He's not going to be cracking down on the encampments. In fact, he mocked Darren White for wanting to do that. So that tells me we're still going to, unfortunately, our businesses that are impacted by this, people who live in neighborhoods that are impacted by this, they just seem to get pushed to the side.
Well, we've seen all these businesses close, the pharmacies, the Walmarts having to close. I mean, I shop at a lot of these places, and it affects my shopping.
Yeah.
And
you know, here's the thing.
It affects my shopping.
For the people who find themselves down on their luck, and things came up, and they find themselves homeless, or they're sleeping in their car somewhere. For those who truly want the help to get back on their feet, there's help.
We do a lot of TV shows here about them.
We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars at the Gateway Center. There is help for these people. The question is, what are we going to do about the homeless who keep refusing the help over and over again? And that's the vast majority of them. So, I mean, do we continue to just let them put encampments up in the middle of sidewalks, in the middle of streets, in front of businesses,
burning businesses?
In neighborhoods?
My friend has a business, and the homeless were there. They set a fire to her business, had to close the business down. It was a medical business. The doctors did not receive their pay, and the patients did not receive the treatment that they needed because homeless people burned the business and
until we find
closed.
until the mayor has the political will to deal with the encampments that are not looking, and over 50% of the homeless people in Albuquerque are not even from here. So give them a bus ticket to get them to go back home or go somewhere else.
It's affecting.
That used to be what Phoenix and Denver did to Albuquerque. Maybe they still do. They give them a bus ticket. Here, go to Albuquerque. You'll love it.
Bob Clark, does this affect your life?
Homelessness specifically,
Crime.
other than crime,
homelessness.
Well, sure. I mean, it impacts everybody in some form or fashion, even if you're not a victim of a crime for a period of several years. You probably know someone who is.
You have daughters you're concerned about who live here?
Sure, absolutely. You have children, you have neighbors, you have family, you have friends who might be impacted by crime, people who might be impacted by homelessness. So it impacts all of us in some form or fashion.
And
whether
you have
it be the overall
and you've got a lot
quality
of listeners
Yeah.
who call and talk to you. They don't talk to. I mean, they're talking to you.
No, sure.
What
A lot of business owners.
What
too,
are they
yeah.
saying to you?
Well, that we just can't keep living this way.
We can't.
And why does it at least appear as though the mayor cares more about the rights of the homeless than he does about the rights of the taxpayers, the people who live here, the people who start their businesses here? That's where the rub is.
And the businesses.
And a
are
lot of them
telling
are
us.
really disappointed right now because it's like, well, he keeps getting reelected, so what change can we expect? So that'll be the big question over the next
And they
several
have
years.
to hire their own security now. There's additional cost.
A lot
They
of
break the
businesses
windows
lose
downtown.
a lot of businesses have lost their insurance because they put too many claims in. A lot of businesses now, if they have vandalism, they don't even call the police because they don't even put a claim into their insurance company because if they still have insurance, they're afraid of losing it. And replacing a window is about $1,000 a pop at a typical business.
I've tried to just replace my window. Of course, I hear your Window World commercials, but I tried to replace mine. They said, oh, it'll be like 3 or 4 months because we have all these businesses that have broken windows from vandalism.
Yeah, there's a long wait
So-
list. to get on.
So you'll continue having these topics, I think,
Absolutely.
in 2026.
Absolutely.
You're not backing down on that.
Nope.
What about the police chief? Will we see him in
Well,
2026?
the mayor has said leading up to the election that he anticipates having a new police chief in his third term, and Harold Medina has indicated that he's going to retire at some point. So my hunch is I think the next police chief is someone who's already on the command staff there. It's a woman. She's a deputy chief. Her last name is Barker. So I think we're going to. My guess would be is that the mayor names her police chief. It'll be the first female police chief.
And are we up to the ranks, or do we have enough street patrolmen?
No.
No.
We haven't had enough. We have no, not at all.
Like 1,000, what, 800 down?
No. Well, no. I mean, when they give you the number of sworn police officers, let's just say it's 850. That's not the number of officers out on the street.
It's
Not even
200.
close. It's closer to 250.
Yeah.
And that's the pool of officers to cover all of the precincts in town. And you have to divide them up over their shifts, 7 days a week, 3 shifts a day. So there are some parts of Albuquerque that may at any given time maybe have 5 or 6 officers patrolling in there.
Anything else regarding the mayor's race, the city of, we're going to have other topics, but the race before we move on to the governor's race.
Well, the one thing, in terms of city council, there was only one new face on city council for 2026, Stephanie Tejas. She falls into that category of being a progressive, I like to refer to it as the socialist wing of the liberal.
And I call it progressing towards socialism.
Yeah,
Progressive,
she
they're
falls into that
progressives
category.
progressing towards
No
socialism.
question. So even though there's only one new person on city council, that one vote really can change the dynamic in terms of 5-4 votes on some of those big issues. So the mayor could end up getting more than maybe he did the last 4 years from city council.
And what types of things could he be doing?
Well, I mean, all kinds of things. I mean,
Oh, God, okay.
just depends.
Oh, geez.
Clarissa Pena may end up actually being a swing vote. The sky's the limit. Who knows?
Oh, geez. Pack your bags, pack your
Yeah.
bags. Regarding President Trump and cutting out the money.
For the rail trail?
I don't even know what
Yeah,
the
it's the
rail trail. And
The
then
city has
again,
filed a
funny is
lawsuit
because of the
to try to get that $11.5 million
What is the
back.
rail trail?
It's that it's the 7-mile loop connecting downtown, the rail yards, Sawmill District, and the Bosque.
But federal money.
And it's coming at a cost of about $11 million per mile.
And has Trump still cut out money because of Albuquerque is a sanctuary city?
The rail trail money that they withdrew, they didn't specifically bring that up, but it's just a grant that said that they were ending. So The city has filed a lawsuit on that, so we'll see how that plays out here in 2026.
Okay. Let's move on. Still a lot of city things, but let's move on to the state. Another election, just what you said, primary is 5 months away.
June.
In June.
What, June 2nd?
Yeah,
Tuesday,
6
June
months
2nd?
away. Okay.
So this is, we got
January,
state
March.
legislature, lawmakers are on the ballot. We've got our congressional, our 3 members of the House of Representatives are up for re-election. Ben Ray Lujan, one of our U.S. senators, is up for re-election. And then, of course, at the top of the ballot, we've got the race for governor here in New Mexico. And we
have some candidates.
Well, 3 on the Democratic side. Of course, we've got Deb Haaland, Sam Bregman, and the former Las Cruces Mayor Ken Miyagishima. And then on the Republican side, now we've got a person you know quite well from your days working for Governor Gary Johnson, but Duke Rodriguez. He was the cabinet secretary for HHS, I believe, during Johnson's administration. And then, of course, we have Rio Rancho Mayor Greg Hall. He was the first candidate to announce several months ago on the Republican side. And then just another recent entry, State Senator Steve Lanier from Aztec. So there's 3 on each side.
At the point of our taping, there could be more, but
Yeah.
that's healthy that we have some qualified candidates.
Yeah, the Democratic primary could be quite entertaining because you got 2 heavyweights there when you're talking about Deb Haaland and Sam Bregman. The problem that Sam Bregman may end up having is, and look, he's doing a good job of raising some money, but he's not even coming close to what Deb Haaland's been raising. And then on top of that, she's going to be more of a favorite of the progressives in New Mexico than Sam Bregman.
Progressing towards socialism.
Yeah,
groups.
because Sam's maybe a little too moderate for them. He's certainly too tough on crime for them. So those are some of the interesting battles that are shaping up.
Crime, again, this 2026 legislative session is supposed to be a topic. We're supposed to, I think we've had a couple of, I think we had a special session, which we pay for. I mean, we pay. I know, I worked there.
Yeah, we had multiple special sessions.
Multiple special sessions.
And we might see more in 2026 because this is Governor Michelle Lujan Grissom's last regularly scheduled session because she's termed out at the end of this year, at the end of 2026. So she may end up calling another special session.
But this is a short one,
so
financial,
30-day.
but there's supposed to be something with talking about teen crime.
Well, there will be issues introduced when you're talking about repeat offenders, when you're talking about juvenile crime and juvenile justice reform. The governor seems committed to putting those on the call, as they refer to it, for a 30-day session. But that doesn't mean they're going to go anywhere because the bills before haven't gone anywhere. They call it the KILL Committee. It's the Consumer and Public Affairs Committee.
Kills everything.
And there are 4 liberal Democrats on that committee, including Liz Thompson from Albuquerque. And whenever the speaker
signs
sees a bill,
it, we know it's dead.
When he signs a crime bill to the Consumer and Public Affairs Committee, we know exactly what the outcome is going to be. It's going to be disposed of immediately.
But it's been, what, 30 years since we've had any changes with the juvenile?
Yeah, and our juvenile code today just isn't equipped to deal with what we see with young people today. And in terms of the rising, whatever percentage increase there is in sort of violent crime, a lot of that is directly attributed to younger and younger people.
And that's why I said at the beginning of the program, there were some bizarre, horrible murders. June 2nd, teens, I think they were 17, 18, killed a homeless man in Montgomery and Carlisle. And I think they posted online something about, texted, "I did not snitch, you snitch," if you recall that one. There was a man killed a shoplifter because he was angry, he stole a bong. There was the man in August, the Uber driver was killed by a man who
that was one of the most heinous murders we've seen in a long time here in Albuquerque. The Uber driver was it was a predatory killing.
Yeah, need to leave off some steam.
18-year-old kid.
Terrible.
Calls an Uber driver, picks him up. Next thing you know, he shoots him in the head.
14-year-old was killed at UNM campus. That was teen crime.
That was last summer.
Yeah, so
Summer
those are the horrible crimes that we've had. Okay, we've talked about kind of some negative things here. Now we're going to talk about the special session. The football is, we're going to end with a football, but let's talk about, are we losing our state fair?
Boy, I hope not. It doesn't make any, I mean, we're coming off back-to-back years of record attendance under the 10-day format for the state fair. It makes absolutely no sense to move it. They've released 3 proposals to kind of deal with revamping the area around Expo, New Mexico and the International District. Here's the thing. In the public hearings they've had up to this point, the people who actually live in that area have shown up and said, look, yeah, we have problems with crime. We have problems with homelessness in this area. But I'll tell you, the state fair is not the problem. They don't want the state fair to move.
Don't want
and they don't want Expo New Mexico to move. So 2 of the 3 designs that they are going to explore involve keeping the state fair basically where it's at now, because they can't move the track or the casino because they have a 25-year lease. So if you're going to keep the track and the casino there, why would you move the state fair? But we'll see how this plays out. The governor, I think, is the one ultimately who's going to make the final decision. And she, at least publicly up to this point, has expressed a desire to move the state fair. But if you do that, where are you going to move it? It's going to cost at least and why would you do that, especially when you have to spend $1 billion to build up the infrastructure that's already there?
But do you know why? Why?
No idea. She wants to do something different with Expo New Mexico, that area in there, turn it into affordable housing and public parks and all this. It's just here's what you need to do. You upgrade some of the facilities at the state fair, and you put a brand new arena over there. And you'd be surprised what difference that could make.
Yeah, that's one. Of course, around the fair.
Look, there are still some areas around the state fair that you can, dress up a little bit and try to improve things around. Do that, but leave the state fair where it's at.
That's a lovely.
But we'll have a decision on that at some point here in early 2026.
What can viewers do? What can your listeners do?
Just keep reaching out to the State Fair Commission and the governor's office, because I think the governor's the one who's going to. But you know how this works. Whenever a politician, especially one who's termed out, late in that second term, they're looking for what they refer to as a legacy project.
That's why we got the rail runner, the expensive rail runner going up and
which has been an absolute disaster. So, but anyway, I think that's really what's at the heart of this. So,
but we love our state fair.
Sure,
it's beautiful.
No reason to move it. Hopefully, they won't.
Beautiful. What about the balloon fiesta and the soccer stadium there?
Looks like that's a go. I think most of the legal challenges to that have been dealt with, and that's going to be a big story in 2026. Is when they actually start with the construction of the new soccer stadium out at the state or out at Balloon Fiesta Park, which they also would use for some Balloon Fiesta events like maybe Music Fiesta. They'll have some concerts out there during the course of the year. So the soccer stadium, certainly the main purpose will be for the New Mexico United, but they're going to find other ways to use it as well. So, but that's been a controversy as well, because a lot of some people are like, why would you put that out at Balloon Fiesta Park? But that's what the mayor supports, and now that he's been reelected, I'm assuming that's going to move forward.
I'm always concerned with Balloon Fiesta, the parking. It's just a problem.
Well, they say the parking spots. They say the parking spots that are going to be eliminated are going to be replaced. Okay. We'll see.
Because we love the Balloon Fiesta, but just getting there in the parking is just it's just crazy.
And how about Lobo football?
Wow.
Jason Eck, what a difference he made in his very first year.
What, 37,000 attended the?
First off, Lobo football they went 6-0 at home. They had the largest year-to-year increase over in attendance than any other Division I team in the entire country. So.
But it was the Lobo and the Aggie game.
That they had a sellout for the first time since 2008. 2007, something along those lines.
I went to the game.
But Jason Eck is really connected with this community. I think he's got a really great personality. His family just loves it here. His wife Kimberly is a big part of the connection with the community, and I think Lobos fans are responding to that. And of course, winning always helps, Diane.
What is the record? What was the
9-3?
9-3,
and that was their best record since 1997.
And they played Michigan, close game in Michigan.
They beat at UCLA. They beat the Bruins.
And then we're not sure how the Minnesota.
But 3 Big Ten teams in one season is the most the Lobos have ever played in 1 year. So,
how can it turn around so quickly? Was it just last year it turned around, or a couple years?
No, it was in his first year. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall, when he was here for that 1 yeyear, they went 5-7, and they started out 0-4, so they still went 5-3 the rest of the year that year. But Jason is basically a brand new roster, and with all of the transfer portal and NIL money, a lot of the things that people bemoan about in terms of college sports is exactly how it works out to where you can turn around a program as quickly as Jason Eck did. Plus, he's just a damn good coach.
But the players are reacting to him.
Oh,
he
absolutely.
Shows good. They're good players.
Sure.
That's amazing.
Well,
that changed the record.
You can go out and recruit a whole new team, but you still have to bring them together, and he did a great job of doing that. So, and he signed a brand new contract, so he's back at least for 1 more year. But I have a feeling those Power 4 conferences might start sniffing around when they're looking for a new coach in the next couple of years.
Oh, geez.
The job to watch out for in terms of the future for Jason Eck would be Wisconsin, because that's where he played college football under Barry Alvarez, and he was a part of their 1999 Rose Bowl team.
1999.
Yeah, so he was.
I'm an alum. I'm a Wisconsin-Madison alum.
There you go. Absolutely, but Jason Eck's been great. And it's just it's great to see the community respond to him the way they did.
And give us something to cheer about, right?
Sure.
Something positive,
Yep.
and people were positive about it.
Yep. And speaking of that, the success of this year of the program, they're finally getting some will to move forward with the ongoing remodeling and reconfiguration of University Stadium, which desperately needs some updates. We're not talking about increasing capacity necessarily, but just the concession areas, the entrances and exits into the stadium, it really can get really clogged up there at the north end of the stadium.
And United had a good season this year as well.
Yeah, they lost in the semifinals. They came close to playing for the championship.
And the Isotopes?
Yeah, they're another great year attendance-wise. So
a lot of entertainment
Yeah.
there. Anything I didn't touch upon? Anything you're looking forward to in 2026? I mean, more lively morning shows. A lot of people, I love it. People are now texting and emailing you. You read what they're having to say, and I laugh so much about what
I have to clean them up
say.
sometimes. I don't know. When it comes to texting, sometimes people just have this. They operate under this cloak of anonymity, I think, sometimes. And even though we know their numbers, and most of them sign their names, it's like sometimes they say something on a text that they wouldn't say on the phone over the air, thank goodness. So I just take care of that myself. I just clean it up.
Yeah, but you share it, and it's good. It's, Sometimes it's kind of nice to hear. You don't want to voice it yourself, but you hear somebody else voice it, and you just kind of nod.
In December of 2026, it'll be officially 20 years on the morning show. So I'm my 20th year overall on the morning show, and a lot of big stories ahead, and the election coming up in November. It should be another, and of course, then we have the 100th anniversary of Route 66. The
That's
centennial
nice.
celebration. There'll be a lot of special events that go along with that. We have the 250th birthday of the United States. There'll be a lot going on with that. We've got the World Cup I think 2026 is going to be it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And of course, Balloon Fiesta and part of all that.
Yeah.
And hopefully the State Fair.
Yes.
Bob Clark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Diane. It's
Bringing
always a
joy
pleasure.
to our program and joy for the new year. Happy New Year to you and your family
Thank
and
you very
everybody at KKOB.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and Happy New Year.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.